Welcome back to Let's Play Higurashi Himatsubushi. I'm actually lying down because I can't be asked to sit. Which is a rarity. I always frickin' sitting down when recording, but I can't be asked. Just like, it doesn't always cause my legs to ache. I haven't even recorded at the desk in ages. I can't be asked to move my table fan. I'm just that lazy, with that. So, not much left of the plot left in this one, is there? Let's see the tips. We've got diaries. Well, that could be the word of the day, but the word of the day only counts for me if I look it up in my dictionary first. But a little bonus one is Nikki, which is diary. I mean, that one's kind of obvious. If you've ever heard of Yume Nikki, that's what that means. Yume means dream, and Nikki means diary. There's also an anime manga called Mirai Nikki, which is future diary. Mirai future, Nikki diary. Speaking of that anime, I've never watched the anime because I couldn't freaking stand the first episode, but I've read the whole manga, and the reason why I say that is because it's got one of the most unlikable protagonists I've ever seen. I've seen School Days, man, and that guy, he was such a freaking unlikable prick. Maybe not as bad as Makoto from School Days, but still pretty damn unlikable. So whenever he showed any kind of just like, yeah, look at me, I'm a badass, I'm just like, no, you're not, you piece of shit. You're freaking just like having your psycho freaking obsessed stalker girlfriend thing do all the work while you just like be a little bitch. Anyways, how about haven't found a word, so could have just kept rambling while I searched. How about Shirushi? Shirushi sign. That is right, isn't it? Shirushi. Yeah, Shirushi. So have a look at her diary and have a thumbnail that shows nothing. Because that always happens in this one. That's another reason why this one's been underwhelming compared to the other question arcs. There's a lot of blank screens. Because again, there's no character portraits for the most part. All you guys, Rika, occasionally, she's kind of the main one here. And then there's Ooishi, who appears a lot as well. But other than those two, not much really, is there? I mean, Mion appeared a few times, and so did Irie, but other than that, I don't think anyone else has appeared, really. So we've had no character portraits throughout most of this, which is the complete opposite of the first three question arcs. There was something I didn't like about my child. I first realized it when I started writing these things down. They never warn you about it in any books about raising children, but they aren't just a plaything. If they aren't able to feel loved even when they're not doing exactly as their parents want them to, then those parents are failures. This wasn't something like that, though. Maybe I'm half asleep, but I can't register it in my mind. It's like, if they aren't able to feel loved, even when they're not doing exactly as their parents want them to, then those parents are failures. Trying to wrap my head around that sentence, but I think I'm too half asleep. This wasn't something like that, though. How can I say it? It's probably hard to express with more than mere words. I just want my child to be average. As long as they weren't falling behind, there wasn't any need for them to excel at something. As long as they acted appropriately for their age, I would have been fine with it. But my child has been different ever since kindergarten. While children in her class were running around in excitement about the field trip to the next day, she only wore a bored look on her face, aloof and distant. Gee, I wonder whose diary it could be. Can you guess? When the other kids broke the equipment for the athletics festival and were apologizing fervently, she only wore a bored look on her face, aloof and distant. When the teacher was reading the fun picture book, only she wasn't smiling. Even if they all got to eat the delicious bento, only she wasn't happy. If it was only this, it would still be in the realm of understanding. However, what I don't understand about my child is that if the aforementioned situations happened again, they'd now act in a manner befitting their age. I don't understand the principle behind that as a parent. Why were they indifferent about that field trip, but happy about this one? Why were they indifferent about that picture book, but happy about this one? Why were they indifferent about that bento, but happy about this one? The former and the latter in each situation seem exactly the same to me. There was even times when I thought the former one was better. I don't understand that child's feelings. Well, I mean, it's obviously Rika, isn't it, really? And it's kind of been established, she's kind of like has that kind of attitude. Rika's an interesting character, but it's just like one of those characters where just like, I feel like if I talk too much about the character, I'll end up like freaking rambling on and end up spoiling parts of the plot. Anyways, during parent-teacher meetings, the teacher always says the same thing. And I would always respond that I don't understand my own child, and we would mope together. My husband, always the optimist, once said that a young child's feelings are different from an adult's. So if there were some things we didn't understand, we shouldn't worry about it. I lamented his lack of urgency. One day when I was in a good mood, I took the effort to prepare a menu that my child would enjoy. But she only smiled with a vague expression of disinterest. That attitude frankly made me angry, so I hit her on the head. What? Took the effort to prepare a menu that my child would enjoy, but she only smiled with a vague expression of disinterest. That attitude frankly made me angry, so I hit her on the head. Not hard, I imagine. And again, this is the late 70s. I mean, was there a light slap or what? I don't know. On a day when the weather was nice, I wonder, actually. Like, here in the West, nowadays, something like that, you'd be like, oh, hell no! But what about in Japan, I wonder? That's the thing, really, isn't it? It's like, changing the times, isn't it? Whatever. Let's not ramble about shit like that. The laundry I had just hung up to dry was blown by a large gust of wind, causing the entire line to fall down. But she, watching me trying to pick up the laundry in a panic, stood there laughing. That attitude frankly made me angry, so I hit her on the head. Again? I think the same sort of thing happened countless times. Before I knew it, my child was only able to look at me with an indifferent expression on her face. I regret the fact that I've been a bad mother. Thinking I should regain her trust, I fought to get it back little by little with some light interactions. Seeing her do some sort of craft work on the veranda, I called out to her. These past few days have been nice and sunny. The air feels nice, doesn't it? That child with that indifferent look on her face I hated so much looked up at me for a moment, and without a word returned to immersing herself in her craft work. Up until now I would have hit her on the head just for that. I imagine it's probably more of just a kind of like that, if you could hear that. Like a very light kind of Because if it's like a full-on whack, that's a bit over the top or something like that. Up until now, I would have hit her on the head just for that, and I held myself back. What are you making? Is it a doll? Well, a child. That child was using inserts from the newspaper to definitely make some well charms. Forecast and called for rain. You know, that's one word for some reason I have trouble pronouncing. Weather. I think it's anything that has that the in the pronunciation. For some reason, I just can't pronounce it quite as well. I don't know why. It's always been that way for me. Just like weather. Such an odd pronunciation to me. I don't know why. Anyways, but that child in her own way was praying that the sunny days would continue. Being able to understand my own child for the first time in a while, I couldn't hide my own happiness. Bringing out a bowl of yarn, I began to hand my child's cute 12 charms from the eaves of the house. It's no good, Rika. The heads are too heavy, see? They've become reverse well charms now. Till like this, they'd call the rain instead of the sun. When I started to take them down, my child tugged at the hem of my shirt as if to stop me. It's because I made them to be upside down, they're fine. But Rika, if they're upside down, it won't be the charm that calls for a sunny day, you know. It's making a charm for it to rain, so they're fine. I desperately suppressed the emotions welling up inside me. I was trying desperately to understand my child. Oh, I see. The morning glories in the garden were starting to get a little wilted from all the sun. So you wanted some rain, right? My child turned to me with an expression that I hated the most. I got bored with the clear weather. It's like that one other tip that we had quite a while back, where it's just like going over, just like, oh, wouldn't this be boring if it was predictable, this and that? That was clearly Rika. So this is like an establishment of like kind of outlook on life there a bit, isn't it? I don't understand. We will all understand in due time. But that'll be in the answer arcs. And not even the first. Well, actually, I can't remember. First answer arc, we do get to see a bit more. Because if you remember with Tanagashi, it's the answer arc to that. And it's the only answer arc that is literally identical to the question arc. But we get, answers, essentially. While all the other ones are kind of similar to the question arcs that they're the answer arcs too. But they're not identical, if that makes any sense. We'll get to it when we get to it. Anyways, I just can't understand that child. I was right, man. 13 minutes. We're only through the first one. And it's all gonna be a blank screen, isn't it? You could at least show Rika, goddammit. Oh, we got an actual background this time. During the family council, she buried herself under Oreo-san's futon again. What? Oh yeah, I guess she would be there, Rika, as well. How does this count as a diary, though? Who writes like that for a diary? You're just like, okay, and blah-de-blah. Usually, like, if it's going to be a diary writing about something that happened in the day, it'd be something like, today, my daughter gave the same bored expression as she always does, and it continues to annoy me, and it makes me think, I really wish I could understand this child of mine, and all that blah. But this one's like, oh, bit by bit, every single detail. Remember exact words that were said? Well, actually, there wasn't really much words were said that were written down, but still. Oreo-san dotes on her unwaveringly. No matter whatever insolence my child commits, she doesn't mind. Okay, I guess this is more like a diary, I suppose. It's almost as though my child is a kitten or something. Yeah, that description's been used a lot, isn't it? And I think it was in Onikakushi where, like, in one of the club's games, they even had her wear cat ears and a tail. Because of course! Oreo dots on her exactly like you would with a kitten. As her mother, I chided her for doing that. Until Oreo-san had said 3 times that it was fine, I chided her as formality. Of course, she never lends an ear to any of my chidings. Knowing that Oreo-san's standing was far above mine, she behaves like that. I don't like the cunning that's unbefitting of her age either. In any case, not only Uriya-san, but the rest of the old folk in the village spoil her too much. One day I was surprised. By chance, on the way back from some shopping, I saw her by herself just outside a candy shop. My own child suddenly grabbed a snack, opened the package right there and started eating it. She didn't make any attempt to pay for it, and she didn't even think of looking around. It didn't even feel like she was shoplifting, more like she was brazenly eating snacks that were offered to her. When I began to admonish my child, the elderly shop owner appeared and covered for her. He only gave the ridiculous excuse that he had said it was okay for the child to eat any of the snacks out by the entrance, so it was fine. When I tried to pay for the snacks that my child had eaten, the owner refused my money. During that exchange, more old folks had suddenly gathered around, and it began to feel like I was the one in the wrong. The elderly people all put their hands together reverently in front of my child and repeatedly voiced their respects. I was born into the radio family, so it wasn't like I didn't know why she was being treated specially. I can kind of see it from her point of view, honestly, the frustrations. I mean, she just wants her child to, be like, whatever, but it's like, got all this kind of thing where she's just like disinterested and distant from her, and then it's stuff like that where she's just like, I don't know. I can kind of see why she's so frustrated by it all. When I was still young, it was something I heard often from my grandmother. If by chance the child that I gave birth to was a girl, that child would be the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama. All the older folk believe she's the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama and spoil her rotten. And not only did they spoil her, but they even told her she was the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama. That she had a divine power and threw all sorts of strange folk tales her way. So she may have begun to believe herself that she was a special existence. I went around and told everybody that it wasn't good for her upbringing, so to stop tell her all these strange things, but there was no uprooting the elderly people's deep-seated superstitions. I told my child not to listen to them, but it ended up being that she stopped listening to me. Between all the older folks in the village who would dote on her and myself who only scolded her, there was no wonder who she would listen to. There was no mistaking that the reason she had become strange was because of the elderly villagers. There was no doubt that they had shoved her full of strange folk tales and superstitions since she was young. If it wasn't for that, there was no doubt my child would have been cute and normal. This track. Going a bit off track. Ha 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 ha. Relevant, no. Working on the New Year video, as I've said before, and this track I want to do. So I gotta figure out that string assemble, because I want it to be perfect. And like, the New Year video so far is like 40 odd minutes long. And all that's left for it, clip-wise, is the Final Fantasy X and Wind Waker clips to put into it. So it's probably going to be over an hour this time, which is going to be ridiculous. Plus the song that I haven't recorded yet. And there's a lot of music that I haven't recorded. I've recorded up to Resident Evil so far on it, which is like 20 odd, 30 odd minutes into it. Yeah, around about 30 minutes mark of the video. But the point is, I want to do tracks like this for the Higurashi section. And you know how long that goes on for Onikakushi to Himatsubushi, because I put clips from each arc into it. It's like nearly 10 minutes long. It's ridiculous. But that's usually what happens with me. Go overboard with the clips and then I'm just like, my god, this is not a montage anymore, is it? First one back in the day when I first did the New Year video, it was like freaking 3 minutes long. It was really nice. So I've like used the melody I've used from there, like I think consistently in every one of them since. Where it's like and all that. But But yeah, the first one I ever did back in, what year was it, 2011 or 2012? I can't even remember when I started doing these videos. But yeah, that one was only like 3-4 minutes long. Changed once I started really getting into recording music more. Anyways, one sunny parent-teacher day, there was a cooking class and my child was making curry rice with a practiced hand. Of course it'd be curry rice. I guess Chie-sensei has been there for many a year. Well, that would count as many years, I suppose. While the other children her age were awkwardly using their kitchen knives, that child was wielding hers deftly. The teacher approached me with a smile on their face, saying it must be a result of learning it at home. I managed to play it off with a vague smile and a nod in response. But suddenly, that was because I had never once taught my child how to make curry rice. Even then, she was peeling vegetables with a practiced hand, adding them into the pot in the order of which took longer to cook. How mysterious, eh? For a noble parent, they might unintentionally clap their hands together, happy at the child's action. But in my case, it was different. There was no mistaking that somebody had taught her how to make that curry rice while I wasn't taking care of her. Thinking that, I quietly fell into an unpleasant mood. When I asked, it seemed she would also sew and do the laundry. I had never taught her how to do those, and again, never saw her do it around the house. Be it cooking or sewing or the laundry. Again, that was probably because the elderly villagers taught her all sorts of rubbish when I wasn't looking. And not only that, they probably taught her all sorts of strange superstitions, trying to prop her up as the living incarnation of oyashiro-sama. I said as much to my husband, suggesting that we should keep our child away from the elderly folk. But my husband, who was in the position of being the head priest of the Furude Shrine, had little power against the elderly who supported it. He took the rather uncommitted stance of saying that as long as she was being doted upon, wasn't it fine? I argued against that she was our child and should be a completely normal girl. That's what the elderly were expecting, that she was the living incarnation of oyashiro-sama, was simply odd. The elderly villagers believe that child has divine powers. We would discuss the weather for the following day, but there were many times when I left the house, without an umbrella and came back soaking wet. Rather than having clairvoyance, that was just second-hand knowledge with her watching the news all the time. The things that she knew that she shouldn't have known were just a result of the people who were trying to indoctrinate her and people who were getting together in the village. However, sadly were days when everybody thought it was going to be sunny all day, and the child would stubbornly not go out without an umbrella. It would occasionally rain, and in the end we would be saved. There might also have been times where we could know of major accidents in foreign countries faster than the news did. So she should be a news reporter. I thought that she must have heard it by the break of the radio or something. Knowing things she shouldn't have. Something like that was in front of me right now, wasn't it? You know, this is very interesting, but just like plain backgrounds, just kind of like, I don't know. It's just like the main issue I have with this arc. Well, one of the main issues is that there's barely any characters. Barely anyone appears on the screen, so it's just kind of like, it's more like sound rather than anything else. Which makes sense why it's called a sound novel, but the first 3 question arcs had a lot of variety, Bunch of characters, and there was quite a lot of stuff going on. In this one, it kind of feels like not much is really going on. I mean, the main plot centered around a kidnapping, which seems just like, whoa! But compared to the other arcs, like I said, that's kind of pales in comparison. Anyways, that child was making curry rice where there shouldn't have been anybody who taught her how to. Oh no, that couldn't possibly be the case. Somebody had taught her, indoctrinated her. When I wasn't taking care of her, somebody had indoctrinated Rika with something. Maybe that's the principle. Really, Sans curry is absolutely splendid. I'll give it a gold star. Nippa! Where did you look? Wait, no, that's probably Chie, I imagine. I can't be sure, though, because none of the characters on the screen, but I'm just gonna assume it is. Where did you learn to cook, Frude-san? At home? Yes, at home. The other parents in attendance were impressed. Or maybe it's one of them. Lies! All lies! Usada! Let's have a look at lies, shall we? Why not? Yeah, she is well, she isn't saying it, she's written it out exactly like that. I don't know the character, you know, but I know it's usually pronounced as Uso or something like that. So it's Usada! Usada! There's blah de blah, no blah da da, da chiwa, blah 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 blah, shite ita. Shite ita, probably pronounced like that. Don't know the other characters though, so whatever. I didn't teach her anything. Who was it? Who was it? Who was the person who had completely not the Lady Manchado? I want to see how that's written out in Japanese as well. Well, you got a character for that, so I don't know. Something Nano, pretty much the same thing, but I was hoping it was going to be written out in hiragana so that I'd actually be able to, you know, see how it's pronounced. Oh well. She was my normal average daughter, but the living incarnation of oyashiro-sama, not I mean. Tips! Achievement unlocked, Detective Himatsubushi. Ding! And now for the thrilling conclusion, probably. Probably not. There's probably still a bit. Wait, what? Midsummer 1985. It's just like, oh, we went from 1978 to 85. Actually, that's 2 years, I think, after the main plot. So it started off as a prequel. Now it's like, oh, sequel, sort of. Not really, because there are ants rocks to go over, you know. Sir, right to land. Excuse me, but will you please fasten your seatbelts? It seemed I'd fallen fast asleep inside the plane and dreamed of the entire arc, it seems. But that was more like, it's just like, this arc started off technically at this point in time, didn't it? Where he's like, oh, I'm going to meet up with an old friend, and then it's just like, and then the arc happened. It's just like, oh, back in the day when I went to Himatsubushi this one time on business in 1978, and all that shit that we went over happened, and it was most unusual. That's when I was working for my slumber brother students. Only had carry-on luggage on top of it being a domestic flight, so the time between disembarking and entering the lobby was almost non-existent. Now that most certainly does look like an airport right there. Arriving at the lobby, I glanced around looking for Ooishi. I wonder if the picture they took is actually from an actual airport. Because it really does. It does look like a legitimate airport. I've been to an airport, obviously, but not in many years. Well, yeah, I suppose it could count as many years now. It's been years. And, well, I've never been to a super busy one, because I've never been to a country that's, like, super busy. Like, if I went to, like, I don't know, is Heathrow a busy airport? I'm pretty sure that's a damn busy airport. Like, if I were to say go to the US, I'd have to go to an airport in England, I'd imagine, and those ones would likely be much more crowded than... Actually, I wonder if there's any other airport other than Cardiff here in Wales. I think there might be an airport up north somewhere. I think I remember, but I don't know. Whatever. And was met with a familiar gruff voice calling out to me. Akasaka-san! Finally got some characters. I'm not gonna appear in the thumbnail, even though I've appeared in the thumbnail a million times. You want proof? That's not proof, that's Rika-chan. Proof is right here. Rika-chan, Ooishi, and Irie. Ooishi. Rika, Irie, Mion for a one-off. Ooishi, Ooishi. Tips, Rika. So Rika's appeared quite a number of times, obviously, as well. Ooishi! And look how many parts there are with those kind of backgrounds where there's no character. No character whatsoever. Actually, looking at it now, there have been more characters appearing than there have been having no character appear in the thumbnail. But still, kind of annoying when it's a blank background, more or less. Because it doesn't make the video look appealing, does it? Not that really many people watch them anyways, like looking in the background here. The previous part has 1 view, the part before that 3 views, the part before that 3 views, 2 views, 23 views. This is what I find inconsistent about this channel. Like, some of the views get weird like that. I don't know why. I'm not sure if it's a glitch or something. Because if that many people watch this LP, then I'd be surprised. Imagine there's a few people that watch this videos. I don't know how many though, because, you know, people don't tend to comment much. And, you know, even if people commented more, not everyone who views the video comments on it, do they? Anyways. How many years has it been? It's been a while, hasn't it? Each side, it really has been a long time. Well, they probably haven't seen each other since they first met in the old 78. So that'd be 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85. That'd be about 7 years, maybe? Ooishi clapped his hand down on my shoulder, celebrating our reunion. Makes me think back to, it was the previous arc, wasn't it? Tatari Goroshi, where Ooishi put his hands on Keiichi's shoulders and gave him a massage, or in other words, just like gripped onto his shoulders and crunched down in an intimidating fashion. So it's so surreal in a way, isn't it? We see the lighter side of Ooishi. Well, we've seen the kind of lighter side of Ooishi sometimes, but usually when we see him in the other question arcs, he'd be more, you know, like, kind of a bit of a dick, because he's on business, he's trying to get answers, so we see his more intimidating side. Akasaka-san, you're looking pretty good. You look like a bona fide frontline investigator now. You're looking quite dapper yourself. The posture seems a lot better. Is the ballroom dancing paying off? You should give it a try while you're still young. You'd be a hit with the ladies. A real babe magnet. I wonder how that translates in Japanese. Always gotta check it. Wait, no. Akasaka-san mone la chikara. Maybe that's da in this case. Dance wa yatte oita la ga ii desu yo. So shitara kita something mas. That's kinda, and again, I suck at that. Wait. Maybe it's... No. I don't know. And there he is again! It bugs me. Gotta look at the characters in my dictionary for that. Wrong side of the dictionary. Which character is right? No, I wasn't. It's facing the other way, so what character is that? Can't seem to find it. Maybe it's on the other page. Mora, what? Is that what it says? Looking at that right? No, actually. What? Yeah, that is. Mora. It's written out in katakana, so that gives an indication that it's, I have no idea. It's a non-Japanese word if it's usually written out in katakana like that. But it doesn't sound English, or maybe it is, I don't know. Confusing. Ooishi had retired and moved to Sapporo, Boro, and of all things had started taking ballroom dancing lessons. He had apparently gotten really into it and had decided to spend the rest of his new life devoted to that hobby. He was aiming to get his instructor's qualifications before he hit 80 and live out his old age steadily. I let myself into Ooishi's car and we headed out towards the hot spring inn. I had originally intended to crash at Ooishi's place, but Ooishi was quite obstinate that his home wasn't suitable for that, so it came to us. At the inn, we relaxed while soaking in the hot springs, reminiscing about the time we played Mahjong together in Hinamizawa. It seemed that to celebrate our reunion, Ooishi had looked for people who could play, but unable to find a suitable candidate, we had to give up on putting together a table. As we drank together, we excitedly recounted our exploits during the final manhunt. Ooishi in different clothes. I wasn't expecting that. Did they end up catching those two guys? Nope. In the end, the search team never found them. They were probably hidden by the villagers, then sent overseas or something else far away to lay low from it. I remember... I think you might have... No. Did it happen in Go-Go Nippon, where they went over, like, hotels, kind of supplying yukatas? I think that might be a yukata. I am still unsure what the difference between a yukata and a kimono is. I am an ignorant, uncultured idiot when it comes to fashion, I guess. I do remember when I didn't LP it, obviously, but Karano Shoujo and Karano Shoujo 2, I think, had that kind of established, so that's where I might have learned about it as well, I don't know. Anyways, Yuji-san, if I remember correctly, you managed to grab one of their guns, didn't you? Did you learn anything from that? It was a Chinese-made military pistol. It's probably from the ones the gangs in Kansai managed to smuggle in a ton of. We tried to get a match from the rifling, but it showed up in... it didn't show up in any other cases. How about on your end? After that, I was removed from the front lines, so I don't know much. In the end, it seems like everything was settled under the veil of secrecy. Ooishi smiled wryly as he sipped his chill drink. What happened after that? Sure was tough, huh? It'll be 7 years now. What will they talk about? What do they mean? Well, it has been 7 years since I said, hasn't it? Well, I wanted it to be the conclusion in this part, but I guess not. It'll probably be the conclusion and maybe, just maybe, the final part will be on Christmas. Well, uploaded on Christmas. I'll record it before Christmas, but it'll be uploaded on Christmas probably, because it's just right around the corner. this will be uploaded tomorrow as I'm recording. It's 22nd today. This will be uploaded on the 23rd. And the part after that will be the 25th. Which will be Christmas and all that shit. So yeah, that'd be neat. But there's the, all cast review session as well. So it depends how long this epilogue is gonna be on for, Anyways, I'll see you next time, viewers. See you next time.